Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this video, we are looking at the Hot Toys Nightmare Batman from Batman v Superman. This is obviously from the scene where he's having that quasi-dream slash premonition slash plot hole problem. And it's a really cool look for Batman if you like the whole desert motif. And this figure brings it to life really well. There are, of course, some really great things about this figure, more than I anticipated, given my knowledge of Hot Toys and certain articulation issues. This doesn't have what I thought it was going to have, so that's a good thing. But then there are some issues that we do need to talk about. I'm going to give you all the information you need to decide if you want to buy this figure, so make sure you stick around for the whole video. But yeah, we're going to dive into it, so let's get it off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, this guy stands just about 12 3/4 inches tall, and if you straighten his legs, you'll get a little bit more height out of him. I checked, it really doesn't adjust it that much, but you know what size he is. He's a little bit taller than 6.5 feet if you're adjusting for scale. So that's pretty good. Maybe slightly too big, I don't know, but it's so minuscule it doesn't really matter, so no worries there. And the overall look of the figure is really nice. General things, we do have some issue with the jacket in that it looks really bulky. Like, obviously this kind of jacket is not going to be very thick relative to a real person. In this scale, it does end up being kind of thick around the shoulders, and it does present one issue with the shoulders, but we'll talk about that when we go through the articulation. Otherwise, the only real issue I have is it could definitely look more worn. It does have some fading, but I've had jackets that look this faded from the store, and they weren't meant to be really distressed, so I think given that it's supposed to be kind of a war-torn looking desert, weathered jacket, it should probably look a little bit more worn, but it's not a big deal. It's definitely noticeable, so I think that's okay. And then the pants don't really have any weathering. I'm not sure if they're supposed to. I didn't go back and check that scene for that, but it's worth noting that the cloth does look clean for the pants. Let's talk about likeness. We can get into the accessories, we'll talk about the likeness and the interchangeable faceplates all in one. We have 3 faceplates. We have the closed mouth, kind of neutral look. We have the slightly open mouth, pretty neutral look. And then we have the teeth showing, angry, yelling look. And the faceplates pop off very easily. There is a tool for swapping them out. You don't really need it though. Once you pop the head off, you can just do it by hand, no big deal. It's worth noting the faceplates look fantastic. The likeness is great for Ben Affleck. We even have the little kind of bump on the one side of his cheek. The stubble looks really good. I think the sculpt is fantastic. I know it's just a lower mouth area, but it's definitely recognizable, so I think that's really nice. The sculpt for the cowl is also very nice. It's worth noting that it's just the cowl that makes him look cross-eyed. People complained about the neck of figure being cross-eyed when the eyes were technically centered. This figure, as you can see, with normal lighting, will look cross-eyed. It's just the way the cowl is. There's nothing they can do about that. So it's not a big deal. You don't even notice it in real life. It's just when the lights are hitting it, it will create shadow. So don't worry about it. One problem I have with the head, and this is kind of a serious issue, is that the faceplates don't fit into the cowl that well. You can see there's a little bit of gapping going around on the side there. It definitely could fit better. They don't want to stay in place that well. It's not terrible. You may not notice it. You could chalk it up to having the cowl just be a layer of rubber over his face, but it doesn't quite look like that. It looks like they don't fit perfectly. It's not a huge deal, but it is something worth mentioning. Another thing worth mentioning is that the eyes can be removed. He doesn't come with interchangeable eyes. I'm not sure if there's like an exclusive version that has them, or if it's just the eyes that come with the normal Batman that you can swap them out with. Not sure, but they're not included. With this figure, you do have the tool to remove them if you need to, though. So other accessories include his fist hands, which come on him in the package. You have 2 open, kind of relaxed hands. You have 1 gripping hand for the gun, and 1 gripping hand for what I'm guessing is a batarang, which is not included. I'm not sure what's up with that. I guess they just decided he didn't need a batarang since he didn't use one in the scene, but we don't have a batarang. But we do have what looks like a batarang holding hand. We have 2 interchangeable scars. We have the bunched up one that comes on him in the package, and we have the one that would go over his face, which does have wire in it. They both do. They both actually have wire in them, but you're going to need it for the one that goes over his face. We also have his rifle, which is very well detailed, incredibly well detailed. It has some folding pieces, including the stock, the extending butt of the stock. You can remove the magazine. However, the ammunition in the magazine is not painted very well at all. And you do have some sights that flip up, so it's very well done, especially with that Joker logo. We do have the pistol, which is a nicely done pistol. It will fit in the holster, which is removable, so you could consider the holster an accessory. The little snaps on the belt to work like they would normally in real life. Additionally, the belt is removable, so if you want to take the belt off, you could do that. We do have the goggles that you might want to put on the top of his cowl so it matches the movie. They're very well done. It does have an elastic band, so they're not going to have any problems with breakage, I don't think. They're all molded in one piece with the elastic band connected, so I think that'll be good. And then we have the binoculars, which look pretty nice, but they're basically just going to hang there and not do much. The last thing you could consider an accessory is the jacket. You can remove the jacket, however, I don't really recommend it because the body underneath, while it does have the full bat suit, you're going to end up with the wrapped up gloves, and the shoulders don't look great, and we'll talk about that more when we get to the articulation. Finally, we have the display stand, which has a new kind of support for his crotch area, which looks better, I think, than the original ones with the two little prongs. I don't care for those. I like this design much better. And it's generally a nice display stand. However, the placard on the bottom where the name is does have some leftover stickiness around the edges, like where they left the tape. So it's not great, but it's not terrible. So on to the figure. Let's talk about all of the nice sculpted detail in the suit. It looks really fantastic. I'm very, very pleased with it. And one of the things I'm even more pleased with than the general look of it is the feel. And this is a very weird thing, but the entire body is this kind of foam rubber material, and it's very squishy, but it's firm, and it makes me want to squish it. I don't know why. Maybe that says something about me. I don't know. But if you have this figure and you felt it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It has some kind of interesting characteristic to the sponginess of the material. And that's a good thing, because not only does it look really nice, but when you do pose him, the muscles actually do bunch a little bit, like you might notice on a real live person. When you twist him, though it's very limited, you can see the muscles kind of twist like he would have, like it would do in real life. So it's pretty cool. It does give him a little bit of nice bulk and a very nice look. So let's talk about articulation, I guess, because that's pretty important. The head has pretty good range. The cowl is all one piece. Underneath this, you can see the cowl in there. It's all one piece, but you get really good range. You can rotate it no problem. The face sometimes falls off. You can lean the head all the way back. Let's throw another face on there while we're doing this. There we go. This one fits way better for some reason, and that's the one that comes on him in the package, so I'm thinking maybe that's why it fits better. Anyway, you can lean the head all the way back, and you're gonna have to worry about the cowl though. And this is one of my issues with this figure. While you can move the head really well, the cowl is very firm in the pose that it's in. So you're gonna have to be a little cautious with that in terms of posing. It would be better if the cowl kind of was sculpted to kind of hang down straight, so that when you put it on, it kind of flattened out. And then when you move the head, it's going to pinch back into place rather than sticking straight out. But it's not a big deal, and it does get hidden by the scarf. So really nice range of motion, just some issues to consider. Now in terms of the shoulders, we have that butterfly movement forward and back. The arm does have a full ball hinge, and it works surprisingly well. You can get the arm all the way out, no problem at all. You have your bicep swivel. You do have the layer of the bat suit underneath, plus the layer of the jacket though, so you're going to have to kind of finagle it for any super dynamic poses. It does have the range zone, it can do it. You don't really have to worry about the suit breaking. It's not that super thin, somewhat durable Superman type suit. It's a lot more, I guess, cloth-like is probably a good way to put it. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I didn't have any trouble. Here's the thing with the shoulders though. You can see where the arm comes out. The shoulders are pretty low on this guy, and they're actually pretty narrow, and I think that's just because of how bulky the jacket is. So I think this is going to be a different body than the regular Batman that gets released a little bit later on. So if that is, that's a good thing for the regular Batman. This one does make the arms look like they come out just a little bit too low, and the shoulders are a little bit narrow just so that they can accommodate this bulkiness of the jacket. It's not bad, it's just something to consider. This side for me is very stiff when I want to rotate it forward. It takes a whole lot of force to get those little ratchets to move, but it seems to be loosening up as I do it, so it's not too bad. Elbows are double jointed elbows, so you get pretty good range out of them. Little bit better than 90, not too much, but they work pretty nicely. The wrists have ball hinges. So that's pretty good. And the gauntlets are floaty, so they will spin around as you need them to. The thing to note about the wrist is the way they sculpted it. We have the wraps right here and the wraps on the hands. You can't tell where the wrist stops and where the hand begins, so that's good. Only problem is the hands do come off a little bit too easily, which is, I guess, kind of a good thing in that you don't want them to be too tight to interchange, but you don't want them popping off like that faceplate did. As far as I can tell for the torso, we have a ball peg up here and a ball peg down here. The ball peg at the bottom doesn't do a whole lot. You can lean him back, so that's good. You can lean him forward, so that's good. You can kind of lean him side to side, but not so much. You can rotate him a little bit, but again, not so much. The torso, upper torso, works a little bit better. You can crunch him a little bit forward. You can crunch him a little bit back. You can see those abdominal muscles kind of flexing and contracting, or contracting and extending, whatever the right term is. It'll rotate a little bit, but see, it's just very, very resistant to being posed. You're really just going to be able to lean in different directions using those ball pegs, and it's still very minimal. It's probably enough to look cool, but that's about it. Now for the hips are kind of an interesting issue because there's no stretchy cloth on here. I mean, it'll probably give a little bit, but you want to be careful. You can bring the hips out fairly far, out to the side. It's just you have to find the right spot, the sweet spot for them to want to go. So you can do that, but the pants are going to bunch up a whole lot. They're going to pull the knee armor pretty high up on the leg. It's not terrible, but you can see he's got decent range in the hips. You're going to want to be careful with it. Come on. It's a little tricky, but if you hold it by the thigh, the clothes are pretty tight there and it won't allow you to do it. So you want to hold it lower on the leg and you'll have better chance of posing him that way. And as you can see, that's pretty darn good range. That's better than most Marvel Legends these days, so that's pretty nice given it's a clothed figure. You can rotate the thigh, I'll mention that now, it works pretty nicely. And then bringing the leg forward is a bit of an issue because the thighs are so thick and the pants are so tight to them, it's very hard to do it, but you can bring the leg pretty far forward. So it's not too bad, but look at where the knee pad is. It comes up on the quads rather than down here on the knee. So it's not great, but it's definitely good enough. As far as the legs go, they look really nice for the upper legs, but the lower legs are missing some meat. You can see how big the boots are compared to the actual calf muscle. I guess they thought the pants were going to be baggier, so the boots have a lot of room in there, but the legs need to be thicker. As far as the knees go, you have really good range. No problem at all with those knees. And then for the ankles, we have a double ball peg, which actually gives them really good range. I love the ankles. The boots are floaty, so they can kind of adjust to look good. So all in all, it's really nice. And if you really need to, you do have some wire in the jacket to kind of help pose it. It's not very stiff. It's just enough to give it a little bit of style. But I think that's pretty good. I like it. I like this guy a whole bunch, to be completely honest. I wish the torso was a little more effective. I wish the faceplates held in a little bit better. That might be an isolated incident, though. I'm not sure if anybody else has that problem, but all in all, I like the look of the face, the look of the cowl, the paint on the face. Everything about this figure looks really nice. It functions pretty well, other than the shoulders could be a little bit better, and the torso could be a little bit better, but I'm very happy with it. I have to say I recommend it. If you're into collecting Hot Toys or Batman figures, this is one you probably want to consider. I like it a whole lot, and I think you will too. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, obviously, and movies and TV shows and video games and all kinds of fun stuff, so come back for that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.